please start us in the pledge?
Yes, sir.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father God, we come before you tonight in the mighty name of Jesus, and we want to thank you for everything that you're doing here in the city of Monte Vista. We want to thank you for everything you're doing in the San Luis Valley. God, we ask that you will send angels here to protect us, to protect our families, to protect those that are addicted, God, and those that struggle. God, help us to help them, Lord, to make a way. God, we ask for your protection over this city, over this council. We ask for your guidance and your mercy. In the mighty name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Roll call, please.
Counselor Johnson.
Here.
Counselor Lorenz.
Here.
Counselor Segala.
Here.
Mayor Becker.
Here.
Counselor Ellithorpe is ill this evening and will not be here, but a quorum is declared.
Do you have any modifications to the agenda?
No, sir.
Thank you. Approval of consent agenda, minutes of regular meeting November 7th, review and approval of accounts payable.
I would move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the approval of the consent agenda, minutes of regular meeting, and review and approval of accounts payable. Any more discussion? Nita?
Counselor Johnson.
Aye.
Counselor Lorenz.
Aye.
Counselor Segala.
Aye.
Mayor Becker.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, proclamations, communications, and appointments.
Mr. Gill will not be here this evening, but we'll catch him at the next meeting.
Okay. Introduction.
Good evening, Council. Tonight I would like to introduce to you my new deputy clerk. His name is James, and he is present this evening. And James, if you'd like to come up and say a few words.
Good evening, Council. My name's James. I'm the new Deputy City Clerk. I have been in the Valley for about 4 years. Previously to this, I was a closing officer over at Alpine Title. Before that, I was in manufacturing engineering for about 15 years. Been married to my wife for 16 years. She's right there, Renee. You might recognize her from Rio Grande. She's been there for a while. And we have a 10-year-old son that's got hopefully not the flu, but he's got something, so we didn't want to get everybody sick tonight, so we left him at home. But glad to be here and look forward to spending many more years here. And many more days.
I believe that James is going to be an asset to the city and for the city clerk's office. So he's picking up quick and learning a lot. So I just wanted to introduce him and make him feel welcome.
Welcome aboard, James.
Thank you, guys.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Okay. Proclamation for National School Choice Week. Proclamation commemorating City of Monte Vista School Choice Week. Whereas all children in the City of Monte Vista should have access to the highest quality education possible, and whereas City of Monte Vista recognizes the important role that an effective education plays in preparing all students in the City of Monte Vista to be successful adults, and whereas quality education is critically important to the economic vitality of the City of Monte Vista, and whereas City of Monte Vista is home to a multitude of excellent education options from which parents can choose for their children, and whereas educational variety not only helps to diversify our economy, but also enhances the vibrancy of our community, And whereas our area has many high-quality teaching professionals who are committed to educating our children, and whereas School Choice Week is celebrated across the country by millions of students, parents, educators, schools, and organizations to raise awareness of the need for effective educational options. Now, therefore, I, Dale Becker, Mayor, do hereby recognize January 26th through February 1st of 2020 as City of Monte Vista School Choice Week. And I call this observance to the attention of all of our citizens. That's pretty good. Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay. Checking things off so I don't forget anything tonight. Citizen comments and special presentations. We have scheduled appearances. In order to be included on this portion of the agenda, you have to file the appropriate form with the city clerk no later than noon on Monday prior to the meeting. So we have, the first one will be One Stop Christmas Shop. Request for a discount on rental Sky Park. Are you presenting?
I guess so. Good evening again, Council. This was brought forward by Danielle Armstrong for the One Stop Christmas Shop. They are a nonprofit and they are asking for a discount for the rental of Sky High. Looks like the total would be $1,170 before the discount. And then they're asking for a 35% discount. It's for the November 30th at Sky High.
Which is the standard nonprofit organization discount.
That is correct, the
Right.
35%.
Yeah. In that case, I move to approve the request for a 35% discount.
I'd second that.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the request for the discount of Sky Park. Is there any more discussion? Benita?
Counselor Johnson?
Aye.
Counselor Lorenz?
Aye.
Counselor Sabala?
Aye.
Mayor Becker?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next one is SLP Big Band, Warren Bus. Okay, move that one to the next one, I guess. Monte Vista Chamber Swoop of the San Jose Cranes. Ken, be sure and put your name on the paper there.
Okay. You should have something in your packet there, but do I get the control there? What's the show? So, Mr. Mayor and council persons, here to introduce to you an exciting event for Monte Vista. We're calling it the Swoop of the Cranes. And for those of you who don't know, cranes do swoop. They don't just fly away, they swoop. So I'm told anyways. So what is it? It's a public art exhibit. And it's fashioned after, if any of you have done... If you haven't done some traveling around different cities anyways, there's things called the Trail of the Painted Ponies, the Parade of the Cows. The concept started in Zurich with lions. The Parade of Cows actually was the world's largest public art event, and in 79 countries and over 5,000 cows were produced. Now, the whole thing started with fiberglass statues of horses, cows, pigs, turtles, all kind of different animals, and then artists would paint them, colorfully paint them, and put them on the streets of the city so people could stroll through the city and see, see this art. Well, we quickly decided, one, that the crane should be our piece, and two, is that we needed to reduce the price so that people could participate in the event. The original cost of like the bears or the cows was well over $6,000 a piece each, to create it, and then $500 to each piece. So we decided to modify it a little bit, and that's what I brought here tonight. But as you go through, you can see some of these are replicas of the Trail of the Painted Ponies, and now you see them in all the jewelry stores and Western stores and things like that for sale. But these were actual size, the actual size of a horse, and Santa Fe did that, and the third year they did it, they had over 100 horses on the street, painted by local artists. And then they kind of made these so you can buy them individually. This is the Parade of the Bears. And so we fashioned this after that. What we've done is we've created a 5-foot silhouette of cranes out of 12-gauge metal. We hope to sell to local businesses. The price, let's not say sell, sponsor. We hope to get sponsors for the silhouettes because they won't own them. And I'll tell you why they won't own them as we move forward. But so it's about $150 is what we're looking at for a silhouette. And then they have a choice, whoever sponsors the silhouette has a choice to pick an artist, or actually John has put together some artists for us so he could, and they're from the SLV and surrounding area, so they can pick an artist to design these things. The silhouettes, again, were designed at a nominal amount so that we could hopefully get a lot of participation. Our goal is to create an attraction for March, for the Crane Festival. So we'll be working on it up through March. And to mount these on the city light poles up and down Main Street, First Street, 160 there between Madison and Broadway. And they'll be east and west, so when people drive through town, they'll see all these cranes on the poles and hopefully stop, walk through them, take a look at them. Well, we're going to have a way to for People's Choice Awards is what we'd like to do, so people can vote on the best one, and also pick some people that are really involved in art and get them to judge first, second, and third place somewhere in April, after the Crane Festival. So that's kind of the promotion. I'll show you. This is the silhouette. So the artist will get a silhouette that looks like this and will be able to do pretty much whatever they want with it. Paint it. We've even had some recommendations as people are going to do some mosaics, some welding, on theirs, and a few other things. So it's really an exciting thing. The art, we hope, will remain on display through the summer, so that all the tourists coming through and everybody coming through town will be able to stop and take a look at it. And then in September, we'd like to organize an auction where the sponsors could buy back their art if they want and put it in their shop or leave it out, or however they want to do that. Or other people can buy them and, put them in their front yard. I don't care, wherever they want to put them. And that money, we've kind of decided will go to like a beautification fund for downtown. I'm keen on trees on downtown, and also maybe flower baskets, things like that. But a beautification fund for Main Street downtown. And that is our plan. at this point, what we're asking is a couple things. $1.2 million. No, sorry. So that was a different project. We would ask that you allow us to affix them to the light posts, number one. And I've already talked to Mr. Vance here about the possibilities on that. We would ask that the Monte Vista Police Department would keep an eye on them as they travel around, just to make sure there's no damage and people aren't harming them. The possibility also of leaving them up year-round as an attraction downtown. And lastly, maybe as a sponsor. It's only $150, and then you can pick an artist and have one designed yourself. Anyways, that's what we're looking at. This, by the way, is our first rendition, and I brought it. It's not complete yet,
Oh,
but I did, Evelyn Sprouse is the first artist, and so she started the other day. So we, and she obviously hasn't completed it yet, but I needed to bring it tonight to show you. So that's the program. I appreciate you listening, and hopefully we can move forward. Yes, sir?
I would just like to say that this is what I have been believing and hoping for the Crane Festival, and for that matter, for any festival, event, fest that goes on in this town that lends some attraction to the whole thing. A lot of people, well, you probably do realize, but I've driven the folks around on the bus for the Crane Festival and get around to see the eagles and the owls and of course the cranes. But it is really an international festival. And that's, technically, that's what it's supposed to be, but literally there are folks from not only around the country, but from, and not just Canada and Mexico. I mean, there's folks that have been here from Europe. Maybe they were just here anyhow, I don't know, but, you know, why would you be? No offense, but now they, yeah.
There you
But
go.
this is a phenomenal idea, congratulations.
Thank you.
I like that.
Thank you. We, you know, actually, I started initially thinking maybe about 20 of them, like 10 on each side of the road, and there's 40-some poles, so, you know, we could go quite a bit, you know, and that seems like it might be a small amount, because there's tremendous interest from the people that I've talked to, so we might, you know, we may have a great turnout on this, so I'm hoping so.
I think they're beautiful cans. That's a great idea.
Any other questions?
Do we have,
Mr. Mayor, certainly, you could head nod approving doing that. Mr. Vance is waiting if that's okay. The sponsorship itself, you chose to do that, you need to vote.
do we, is there enough left in the budget in council's fund?
$750.
Ah, well then I move that council, the city sponsor one of the cranes for the Crane Festival.
Second.
Go ahead, nod.
No, that had to be a vote.
It's been moved and seconded to sponsorship for the crane. Is there any more discussion?
Don't forget the second.
Oh, yeah.
Both of them.
Just take a pick.
So if I can mention one last thing too that Gary reminded me, we are going to affix down at the bottom here, a little plaque, a brass plaque that will have the name of the sponsor on it, and it will also have the name of the artist on it. And it'll have a number so that folks will be able to hopefully go online at the chamber website and vote as people's choice. So make it a little fun for them.
It's very classy. I like it.
And I think it'd be okay too to fix them onto the light poles.
Yeah.
I think that'd be.
You just have to be careful, they may have 12 pounds,
12, yeah.
so you won't be able to get them all the way up on those.
Can you put them on right
Well,
at the top?
they balance, wait, I've got a picture. There you go. They actually balance right on this lip, right here, so there's more support.
Okay.
We already took it out there and stuck it up there and see what it would look like. I can't tell you who's behind it. But that's, this adds a lot of support to it, and then and this was the first one and Rob says he would help us figure it out, but it was like a C-clamp to go around it, and then put some rubber in here so it doesn't damage the pole, so we hopefully have thought of everything to get this thing going.
Did you have a design for it?
Yeah, just use other plants in the U-channel, the slice and that way it'll grip to the pole, so it won't slide and twist, but the edge doesn't do any damage. You won't have the edges sticking out like that.
Sweet. Awesome.
Very good idea.
Nita?
Counselor Johnson?
Aye.
Counselor Segola?
Aye.
Counselor Lorenz?
Aye.
Mayor Becker?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
You sold the program and you sold the bird.
Dale, one of the artists, I think had something she'd like to say.
I have a question about doing the frames. Are the artists donating their time for the artwork, or are they going to be compensated?
We have some, keeping the price down to the $150 for the silhouette for that. We do have some money in there for like supplies, not
You're not compensating
not thousands of
the
dollars
artist,
for
you're
an
not
artist,
compensating for the-
but like for paint or whatever,
So-
we will have some money in there.
Okay, so they would be basically volunteering your
Pretty
artistic
much.
abilities for this with just the art supply.
Pretty much.
Look at it as donating to the community
I can
and
understand
events.
that. I understand that, but also artists, you may have to get the.
Are you an artist?
Yes, I am.
Oh, excellent.
Do we need to look at that again? That's kind of high.
Anita, we have a question on the one-stop Christmas shop for the discount on rental, as it showed in the paperwork.
It's actually 20%, not 35%.
And they had checked the for-profit, not the nonprofit.
That is correct. I misspoke. I apologize for that. I was looking at that after. I was going to bring that up during my report.
Do we need to change that
You do
motion?
need to amend that motion.
Would you like for us to do that now?
That's your leisure.
You did. Who made the motion? Gary?
That was yours.
So we need to amend that?
Yes.
To be
Yes,
20?
20% nonprofit. For-profit, yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I'm actually here representing the One Stop Christmas Shop. If you have questions, I can answer.
Oh, we can't talk about it. Now they're here.
You should have been around her.
If you would like, please,
Yeah.
so everybody understands.
So I actually got a call from, I believe, Jaime. He's the one that asked me to be here, and just kind of give you a little presentation on it. What we're doing, we are not an organization. We are just a bunch of small business owners who wanted to get together. There's a lot of stuff in the valley for craft fairs, but it mainly includes handmade products. Doesn't really let people with small businesses, like with representing companies, come in. So that's why a group of us decided to do this. Right now, I'm the one that has my neck on the line because I put up the money for the building. And with the registration fees, if I don't get enough vendors to fill up the amount needed, I'm out that extra money and nobody can back me out of that. So yeah, that's why I am requesting this. I don't know if you have any more questions. It is free to the community. We will have Santa Claus there taking pictures. That is free as well. There will be a professional photographer if people want professional photos. But if parents just want to come and take a snapshot with their kids with Santa, they can. And it's all free to the community. So.
So that would be me to, is that we're going to move to rescind the previous motion?
Correct.
Regarding the request for discount due to error in the numbers.
Can we vote on that?
I would-
Rescind?
Was that your motion?
Yeah.
I would second that.
No.
So it's been moved and seconded to rescind the original motion. Is there more discussion? Nita?
Counselor Lorenz?
Aye.
Counselor Johnson?
Aye.
Counselor Segola?
Aye.
Mayor Becker?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Mr. Mayor, you know, I hate to be the wet blanket in the room, but I'm gonna a little bit. So Mr. Hurtado did not discuss this with me, but you're providing a discount, as she has said, that they're not an organization. Now, if you were making, I mean, maybe this is a fine line the city attorney can weigh in on. If you were giving money to somebody, they would have to be an entity or affiliated with an entity, you know, like the chamber or something like that. You know, and nothing against the idea, but you're giving money by not receiving money, you know, by finance director's not here this evening, so I'm gonna put my bean counter hat on and say, you know, essentially you're foregoing revenue for the city for not an organization. And I did not get that by reading this. And I get it's a benefit of the community and everything, but you're essentially taking for-profit vendors and giving them a discount. I'm not sure that that's,
And if we need to, I have kind of discussed this with a couple of the vendors that we have. Right now, we have roughly about 20. A lot of them have said that they would be willing to report a tax and pay taxes on their items sold during the event, if that kind of.
right, but they're, I mean, honestly, they're required to do that anyway.
Oh.
Right, I mean, the vendors.
Yeah, I guess so.
Vendor license and pay taxes, so, I mean, yeah, I'm having an issue, honestly, recommending that because I did not understand that. And you know, I said, Jaime did not discuss this with me, but you see what the quandary is?
Yeah, this is a discount like as a nonprofit.
Right.
And, you know, so we need to discuss what kind of motion to make.
Well, you rescinded the prior one, and honestly, I'm just not sure that you can, I mean, that you can make a motion to approve this request because it's not a nonprofit, and in fact, it's not an organization per se. Right, now, if they had a nonprofit entity that was sponsoring them, that would be different. You know what I'm getting at?
So, does that mean that it's honestly like not really enough for?
Well, without having a legitimate nonprofit entity to be the recipient, if you will, of the discount, then, you know, I'm not sure the city can forego the revenue. I'm sure our auditors would say the same thing.
Generally, the discounts are just for youth and nonprofit.
Yeah. Okay. Not a youth organization?
No.
Okay, just looking for.
No, just a bunch of stay-at-home moms.
Was that explained to you?
Yes. And that, it does make sense. So, so this is our second year doing it. We did do it last year and had great success with it. So a lot of us would like to keep it a yearly thing. So in order for us to get the discounts and stuff for next year, we would need to be sponsored by an organization, is what you're saying?
Right, affiliated with a nonprofit organization.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, thanks for presenting.
Yeah, thank you. and I hope to see a lot of you there.
So I would make a motion to not approve the discount.
I'll second that.
Been moved and seconded to not approve the discount request for the Sky Park rental. Is there any more discussion? Ida?
Counselor Johnson,
Aye.
Counselor Segala,
Aye.
Counselor Lorenz,
Aye.
Mayor Becker.
Aye.
Motion carries to not approve the discount.
Okay. Friends of Sky High Park. Carlos Schreiber, Kathy Rogers.
Good evening. Yes, thank you, Council, for allowing us to visit with you tonight. We would like to welcome our team for the Sky High project, the multi-purpose event center, and what we're trying to update the council on where we are and where we would like to go in the near future. With that, we would like to introduce the architects that were hired to the RFP process and the contractor. Spencer Architects, and then Alcon is the contractor. And with that, if you guys want to take the lead of the discussion.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, everybody. I'm Don Spencer, architect, the Spencer Architecture Studio in Alamosa. And my team is, Carla mentioned, is Andrea Bachman is associate and lead designer and project manager. Alonzo Valenzuela, intern architect, and Andrea Spencer. So we're here tonight to kind of fill you in on where we are and where we've been. Starting in, I guess it was late June, we all started meeting as a group with a smaller Sky High committee and in the programming process. So we're coming off of a very exciting 5 months of a lot of information gathering and then interpreting that and creating what you're getting ready to see tonight, which is kind of the culmination of all of the sketching and design discussions and programming of what best suits the budget and the needs for your project. In essence, if you're familiar with it, we're replacing the existing facility in this proposal, so demolishing the event center and the pool. And also involved is to relocate the pavilion and save that to another part of the site. We have a few new elements that have been incorporated in. One is a food truck area. And the new building, the large building that you'll see, is a metal building technology. Alcon Construction, and Brian can speak to that in a bit, is the contractor. So we're a design-build team. And this is really a wonderful way to do architecture and construction when the architects and the contractors and the owner are all together. And that's how we've approached this from the beginning. So every design that we've looked at or variations of have been a result of the architects and contractors and the owner, talking through and arriving at a solution that best suits everybody. The main building, like I said, is a metal building. It's called a S-span by Balin Metal Building Manufacturing Company. And the really great thing about it is we have an unobstructed space of about 100 feet clear span to take the major portion of where your existing Sky High building is and the full length of it, and you'll see how it's laid out. So it's really a pretty elegant type of technology for a metal building. It covers a lot of square footage with no columns. It's well insulated, and it's fairly sophisticated in the terms of how it goes together. We have other features which are, of course, necessary in the project. Restrooms, many more restrooms than you have there now. So we're hopefully addressing some of the needs there. We have also a convention center, which is a part B of this project. So it's two major buildings, the event center, we're calling, and the convention center, conference center. The conference center is divided up into individual smaller conference areas with one large conference area. with a warming kitchen and dividing walls between some of the areas so that you can enlarge or decrease various conference areas. The footprint is essentially what it is now. It's a little larger than what it is, the footprint now of the buildings are. So it's being constructed up beside the bleachers. The bleacher system is great, and we're retaining that. Nothing changes about that. So our building will be basically the new face off of Sherman Avenue and alongside the bleachers. I'm going to let Andrea Bachman now walk you through the drawings and kind of describe a little bit about what we have. And then Brian Cook with Alcon will discuss some of the costs associated with it and our phasing. So thank you.
Thank you, Don, and thank you, Council, for having us here this evening. My name is Andrea Bachman. So this is a site plan, and for those in the audience who haven't been to Sky High before, it's just east of town on Sherman Avenue. And the existing, cool. The existing building is located right here underneath the new floor plan. And so in yellow here is the new event center, our conference center over here to the east, the existing grandstands, arena, and bucking chutes. And then the new elements, which do include the event center and conference center. And then additionally, we have a new box office here, a food truck area here, and then a potential new location for a pool and aquatic center. And then also a potential location for a new RV park as well. And then this is our floor plan, so just to go over this real quickly. This is the new event center, and then we have two flanking restrooms here, men's and women's, and the main entrance on this west side here. And because this facility will not only be used for events and conferences, it will also be dedicated as an essential facility. So in case of emergency and people needing to use this space to stay, we've also included showers for their use as well. And then moving into the conference center, like Don said, we have a larger conference area here which can hold up to 460 people. And then we also have smaller meeting rooms to the south here that can be partitioned off with movable walls. So that can be configured as needed. And then that is bisected by this large lobby area here, and then access to a warming kitchen, which can be used by both the event space and the conference center. And then restrooms as well. And then we also have an entrance off to the east side here into that conference space. And then quite a lot of storage up here to the north underneath the existing grandstands. And down here, might be kind of hard to see, but this is just a plan of that box office. So we pulled that away from the event center to help with overcrowding. And then we'll also have an office in there for staff, as well as a couple of ADA restrooms. And this is that first image you saw up on the screen. And this is our main entrance here with the box office, the restrooms, and the truck, or the food truck court. And this is an interior perspective of that event space, and right now we're showing it set up for basketball and volleyball, but these can be used for multiple sports, including, we were talking about batting cages and pickleball, and that's just a couple, but many more options than that. And then these will be removable floors here, which can be stored in that storage area under the existing grandstands. And then beneath there will be a concrete flooring here, and we'll also have retractable bleachers to the north. So those can be moved out of the way when there are festivals or trade shows, and then also placed on this back wall here to display banners for sponsors and donors as well. And this is another interior perspective, but of the conference room. the conference center, and we pretty well went over that, but here are the smaller meeting rooms, larger conference room, the warming kitchen, and then that large lobby space here. And this is just an overview of the project. And here we're showing paved parking in the Stampede-owned parcel. But this just kind of gives you a good idea of the overall project. So I think that's all I have for you this evening.
You did a pretty nice job on that.
Thank you.
So, good evening, I'm Brian with Alcon Construction. Really have enjoyed working with the architects and the owner group, Friends of Sky High, and Carla and Kathy, everybody involved. We have done our best to, I guess, take the information and work with everybody. A lot of suggestions and ideas that we've gone through, a lot of different renditions of the building shape, size, type, different things like that. We've done our best to come up with a very durable building that would be long-lasting for the community, would be a good use of funds for the project. Hopefully a 100-year plus building, what we'd like to think. Very durable interior finishes for the many different potential uses, not only sports and different balls and objects flying around, and but also the many conferences and events that happen inside of there. Efficient heating, heating and cooling in the conference center, different types of finishes that we've discussed, and acoustics. So with that, we've gone through several pricing exercises, and just to give you an idea, just under $160 a square foot. The project total, a little over 40,000 square feet of building. We're looking at a project of right around $8,600,000. And so that's something we've been working on now for a few months. We think we've come up with a solution that fits the uses of most of the user groups for the facility. And looks like a really, really exciting project.
Good. I appreciate everything you guys have done.
So,
Thank you for all your help in this.
Thank you, guys. You know, we have massed a great team of people. Part of them are sitting here tonight. Linda and Gary with the chamber have been wonderful. Of course, those from the city who are on the committee. But, you know, we've got a great citizen group working on this project, and it's been a great, great team project that is under the umbrella of Friends for Sky High. And we appreciate all of those who are participating. And I guess I would like to comment, you know, when she did the oversight of the big area, we also, I think, need to recognize previous councils and staff and citizens when they had the vision to do the 2006-2007 master plan, because without that, we probably wouldn't be here where we are today. We'd be at the master plan stage. And because we've been through that phase, we're now able to be here. But, you know, that was great vision for previous councils and citizens at that point in time to allow us to be at this point in time where we are today. And I'd just like to, I think we ought to acknowledge that. And also that, you know, we have had this, been having this discussion for a long time, as you well know, Dale. It has been an ongoing thing.
And like Carla said, the previous and the current facility has served us well for a long time. We've all been involved in different ways with that facility, but it's outlived its use. I heard a couple of gasps when we talked about the $8.6 million. It's a lot of money, but this facility will last for a long time, and it will serve a great purpose. A lot of important events go on out there, and we have an opportunity with the conference center especially to bring a lot more events In the past week, I've gotten 2 phone calls with state groups. Well, about 3 weeks ago, one of them, and it already occurred, but another one just today where somebody, it's just a 50-person event, but there's nowhere really currently to have those kind of things. And I think we have an opportunity to bring a lot of people in here. So I think the opportunities are endless, and we have a great opportunity to bring more people to the San Luis Valley with this facility. So we look forward to that.
And along those lines, to keep this project moving, we are wrapping up right now what we're calling the design phase. And that's the schematic drawings and that kind of thing. And we're wanting to roll into the construction drawing phase. And with that, we're hoping and requesting that City Council would approve the staff applying for another DOLA grant for the construction drawings. And that particular bid is $204,930. DOLA requires a 50% match. We as Friends have the other 50% sitting in a bank account. So we would cover the match of that request. And but this is an integral part of the process. You know, it goes in phases, and we're through the design phase, and now we would like to move into the construction drawing phase. And then in April, we're hoping then we would actually then come back and ask for another request where the city would then move forward with a DOLA grant for construction costs to be applied to that $8.6 million. DOLA will approve up to $1 million grant for construction costs annually, and that could be an integral part of this whole puzzle. It's going to take all of us to put this together, but we can do it. We really can.
So when you think of the $8.6 million, that's exactly how we intend to get there. And we've got a plan. We've got a plan, and we know that we can get there. But it is going to take a village, and we're going to need a lot of us, all of us, to get together to make this happen. So.
But that's why we're here tonight, and we have chatted with Forrest, and the grant is due December 2nd, which we have a lot of the narrative done. It would be a matter, given, well, it's still going to take time, but assuming, that happens, but this next DOLA grant is going to be crucial for us to move forward, because it's crucial that we leverage the dollars we have as much as we can. And yes, Friends does have $200,000 sitting in a bank, but if we can leverage it with DOLA money, that allows us to keep almost $100,000 back on the construction. It's just $100,000 we don't have to raise. We've already got it in the bank. So, Forrest, I don't know if you want to comment of your thoughts of the DOLA grant.
It'll be fun. No, I think, we've discussed this quite a bit, and the DOLA grant would certainly be very useful to the process. I think Carla and Kathy illuminated that well, and they've done a bunch of the groundwork, and I think I can probably put it together. In anticipation of the council approving us submitting this, I have drafted a motion for your approval, if you choose to do that. That'll give us a little flexibility on making sure that we get all the little elements done. And I've also set up a meeting with our DOLA reps Tuesday, so I would have it all drafted up by Tuesday so they could see it, and if there's any little tweaks or whatever, we can get those done and get it in on time, and then everyone can go home and enjoy Thanksgiving. So I think it's obviously I think this is a great project. The one thing I'd add to the presentation is thank you to the voters of the city of Monte Vista. The basketball courts and the volleyball courts and those things that you see illustrated in there, those are part of the 1 cent tax dollars.
So that recreational programming is part of what the voters approved. And the other really super key thing that the voters approved, part of that funding is for long-term maintenance. And that long-term maintenance dedication on the part of our citizens towards the facility will help make it a reality. So I think it's really exciting. I'd certainly recommend the council approve submittal of this grant this evening, and if you choose to do so, I would be happy to give you the appropriate motion. Thanks.
Yes, Victor.
Let me write it out for you real quick.
Well, along those lines, while he's writing that, he mentioned a key component, that 1 cent sales tax in the Sky High portion. It's crucial to this project. Kathy and I have been laying a lot of groundwork with funders, and we were getting a lot of questions. There's a lot of interest from funders on this. But one question they kept asking was, well, how are you going to maintain it? The city has not been able to maintain the building before. Why should we invest a significant amount of money and without maintenance? And with the city voters approving this, this is giving the assurance to the funders that the maintenance will be there, at least the dollars. And there was a big sigh of relief on their part. And we thank the citizens of Monte Vista for approving that 1 cent sales tax.
I echo Carla's sentiments. It's going to make our job a lot easier going forward, asking for funding. It might have been pretty difficult otherwise, so thank you, voters of Monte Vista. We appreciate that.
I'll back you on that as well. Thank you to the community. The community stepped forward on this.
They
too.
did.
And that evening was one of the greatest evenings.
It was really showed that dedication of these
Yep.
citizens to their city.
What they see in this community, what it's coming.
Yeah.
So there's potential for growth, and it's that same time frame. I heard some other real positive news for the community, and I was pretty excited about it as well. But thank you to the city of Monte Vista, and the community, the members, the people that own this town.
Really
Awesome.
exciting time. Forrest is still riding.
Motion.
Well, this is a long time coming. You've been working on it longer than I have, and I've been trying to get something going for 20 plus years.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of it goes back to that master plan. It allowed us to start this, and it is in phases. The first phase was the Bucking Scoots on the north side and the small grandstands, and then it moved over to the south side, the large grandstands in that phase. And we were successful as a community to put that together. When you did that was $1.5 million project alone. Then when we did the large pavilion, that's the Beef Barn, the city holds their ice skating rink in the winter. That was a $275,000 project. So it is gaining momentum, and now we're at the phase of this particular project of the event center and conference center. And then hopefully once we get this done, then the master plan did address the needs for a pool at some point in time, if that's where the community wants to go, and a RV park back there for the softball players during their tournaments. The rodeo, a lot of the cowboys, have RVs, horse trailers with facilities. Even the events like the Monte Vista Gun Show, the Rotary Gun Show, a lot of those vendors had RVs, and then they would have liked to have used an RV park. So there is a lot of multi-use for that RV park too. The fair, during the fair, a lot of the families bring trailers in and stay there the whole week. So. The master plan set a guide for us, and we can adapt it for that particular time, but It's a great document to work with.
We've got to say, we might retire after this phase, but
Yeah.
we'll pass the torch.
Yeah.
That's the master plan right there, isn't it, Carla? On the back wall?
It's here somewhere.
Carla?
It's on that.
That back
Oh, is
wall,
it?
that's-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
yeah.
that's the
Mhm.
master plan, the original starts.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So, and it's just gonna take time, you know, we just can't do it all. We'd like to do it all at once, but we can't. And, you know, that's just the real world of it, so.
All right, well, I move to approve submission of a grant application to DOLA for continued construction, design, and permitting staff and the mayor to take any and all actions necessary to facilitate submission of the application.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any more discussion? Nita?
Counselor Johnson,
Aye.
Counselor Lorenz,
Aye.
Counselor Segola,
Aye.
Mayor Becker,
Aye.
motion carries.
Well, we want to leave you tonight with the excitement we feel for this project for Monte Vista. On behalf of the Friends of Sky High and all of us working on this and all of the citizens, we want to say thank you and thanks for your work on this, and thank you to you guys. We need all the help we can get. It really is going to take the whole community. But we want to also encourage you that $8.6 million is kind of scary, but we're about a quarter of the way there. We have a commitment, a letter of commitment from the Outcall Foundation for $2.5 million of that. So we've got a real good start. And so we want to encourage you that we, or $2.5 million. Oh, what did I say?
Two, just two, and even two.
Oh, $2 million.
Yeah.
And then we have, well, maybe you can come up with a little more, huh? And then we have another 200,000 that we started out with from them to be able to come this far. So we are, we are making progress already, and we have a good plan ahead of us. So be encouraged. We're going to work hard to try to help make this happen. So.
And we've got some other major donors that Kathy and I've been talking with, and the groundwork's laid. It's just a matter of where we are in the phase, but they're ready to roll out. We're pretty sure. We're confident.
We're confident.
That this is going to happen.
Thank you.
See you, John. The SLE Big Band, Lauren's here. Lauren. He's talking. He's talking. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Hey, Lauren.
Yeah.
You missed your spot, so we're fitting you in, buddy.
Oh, okay, thank you.
This will be for the SLV Big Band.
Yes, sir. My name is Lauren Buss. I'm here tonight as a representative from the SLV Big Band. It is your band. We are the San Luis Valley Big Band. It is not a private organization. It's a community-based organization. Approximately half of the current band members live in and around the Monte Vista area. The rest come from the rest of the valley as far away as Antonito, and we've had some live in Crestone. So we are a valley band. We are here to promote the valley, music of the valley. What I'm here tonight to I'm here to ask the council for two things. One, for your support, and like everybody else, for some money. I'll be right up front. We're not asking for a lot, but the San Luis Valley Big Band has undertaken a recording project, a CD project. It's going to be professional grade. Don Richmond has been doing the recording, the engineering work. Trinidad State is involved with cash and in-kind services for helping with the production of the CD cover, the jacket. We used to call them record albums and jackets back in the old days, but they are providing services for that. We also, though, need help from the community. We have a sponsor program. I'm here to ask for the City of Monte Vista and the council's support. This comes in partly as a quality of life request and addition to our community, to the valley as a whole. There's going to be a video shot with this also of the valley from a drone, trying to give a 360-degree view of the valley as we were playing some of our music. We started the project last July at a summer concert and recorded then. We've had a major recording session on a weekend for Don to get things in a more controlled environment so he can engineer everything. The video is going to be posted on YouTube, which will be left there in perpetuity as far as we know it, to promote the San Luis Valley. We would hope that people coming into the valley will see this part of the valley, Monte Vista specifically, in this area. Coming in from the east, they'll see Alamosa in that area, and hopefully they will spend some time in whatever community they happen to, to spend time in looking at that part of the valley. We're very proud of the work that this group has done. We started the first rehearsal was in November of 2003, and here 16 years later, we're still going, which I think for a community-based music group, that speaks well for the Valley to have this organization continue on. We have various levels on our sponsorship support program here. I would like to leave you a couple of copies of that. I don't expect any decision tonight. I know you're besieged with financial requests all the time. As a former business owner, I understand how phone calls come in and people stop by, and you are no different. But you have done a tremendous job in supporting our Sky High Park project here, and I think that the San Luis Valley Big Band also is a complement to that comes under a quality of life. We've played in the existing structure facility a few times over the years, and so it does get put to use. I'm here to say I hope you will support us in our efforts and that you can find something in some discretionary funds to help our organization. If you have any specific questions, I'd be glad to. I don't want to take up too much time because I know you have a lot of things to talk about always, but if you have any specific questions that I'm able to answer at this time, I'd do my best to do so. It was like being a teacher before the test. Does anybody have any questions? Nothing.
I'm excited about your recording. That's a big deal, big step for you.
It is. We spent November 3rd, Sunday morning from 9:30 to 1:30 doing nothing but recording one song after another. And in that environment, you have the opportunity, if something doesn't go well in a certain spot, you can re-record that, and then Don Richmond or any engineer can work their magic and they can insert that in to clean up something, so you have an excellent recording. And that was one of the reasons for the Sunday morning recording. And then that evening, the concert that we played, it was recorded also. So we've got, in some cases, 3 opportunities to take the best of whatever of any given song, and Don can then mix and match everything to have, again, a quality, professional quality CD put out there that the Valley, the band members, and the sponsors can be proud of.
When will that be available?
We are, at this time, we're anticipating late spring to early summer. As I say, all the recording has been done, and then now as Don has time to work on things, he'll work us into his schedule, and just the amount of time that it will physically take to listen to this and listen to this and listen to this, which is the best, to put it on the record on that track, so we have the best track of each song that we have recorded. So it's very time consuming. Anyone from the audience, do you have any questions either? Something about the band I could answer?
Where do you play?
Here, there, and everywhere. Our extreme reaches right now are from Salida down to Red River, New Mexico. And then within the valley also, we've played every year for many years at the Sunday at 6 concerts in Alamosa. We have sponsored Veterans Day concert. We started that in 2006, and then last year and this year with folks organizing in Monte Vista. We played a Sunday Veterans Concert here at Central Auditorium with the high school band. They do their show part first, and then we come in and play the concert after that. So we're getting a little, we have played in Monte Vista on other occasions also, but that's the most recent things we've done is with the high school band.
Your veterans concert here in Monte Vista is wonderful.
Well, thank you. Thank you. That's everything that we do about that veterans concert is not about us, the band. It's all for our veterans. It's all for the community. In this case, for the Faith Hinckley Memorial Park. You know, many of us knew Faith. But thank you for your compliment. I appreciate that. You got a little bias there too. Former member.
I didn't know what she was doing. That's a really whole story.
Anything else from anybody? If not, as I said, I don't want to take up any of your time. I'd like to leave a couple of these sponsorship donation forms with you, just for your reference. And when you've had a chance to discuss this and see what you could or couldn't do, I like to be positive and say what you could do to help us. We'd be very appreciative. Most of you know how to get a hold of me at any given time. It's hard to hide around here. If no other questions, thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Lord. All right, we'll go on to the Veterans Coalition to present on Veterans Village. Are they here?
I heard from Richard Nagley, who is going to be here, and he's tied up in Pueblo, couldn't make it on time, but he did suggest, and I would be happy to just do a very brief presentation of what he was going to talk about, which has to do with the Veterans Village out in the east part of the county. So, with your permission, I will take a very short time. It's been kind of a long meeting, and I'm going to do this very, very briefly, but I want to introduce a little bit about what Richard Egley has done. Did you have the slides, or just the one of the presentation? And I want to read that. It's short, but it's very poignant because the presentation was made by actually by the Secretary of Veteran Affairs, Washington, D.C. And that's the certificate there itself, but this was the presentation by the, that's not the secretary, that's one of his assistants there. I don't have his name right here, but let me just at least read what they said. This was at a conference that was put on by the Veterans Coalition of the San Luis Valley. It says, Certificate of Appreciation presented to Veterans Coalition of the San Luis Valley, in appreciation for your dedication to strengthen the support of our nation's veterans and their families, caregivers, and survivors. Thank you for your organization's leadership, collaboration, and collective impact in your community. Your dedicated service has built a framework of support for our nation's veterans. Signed, Washington, D.C., August 2019. Robert Wilkie, Secretary of Veterans Affairs. So that was quite an honor, and I just wanted to, I'm going to mention a little bit his work, well, the work of the coalition has been effective in helping our veterans in a lot of ways that benefit the whole valley and certainly the communities in it. I'll give you this one statistic. Between 2017 and 2018, without increasing the number of veterans here, actually it did change just slightly, but mostly because of some of the work of the Veterans Coalition, $1 million was added to the economic future and growth of the San Luis Valley just over that 1 year. And it's not just the $1 million. What I'm talking about is it went from the actual effect of the veterans in the valley went from 31,592 to 32,843. The veterans in this area not only deserve our respect and honor for what they've accomplished and what they're doing, it of course includes active duty besides, but what I wasn't aware of is what a positive effect, just from an economic standpoint, that the Veterans Coalition has been able to draw in by doing, go into a lot of detail about that, but I've been at some of their meetings, and they have a meeting structure that's unique. They actually have speaker phones set up and a direct contact with our state representatives, state senator representatives, as well as our U.S. representatives, and including some officials from the VA and the directors here in Colorado, as well as the national directors, with a direct line to Washington, D.C. on some of those meetings. It's not just a meeting to talk about some problems and think about some answers. The answers that they're dealing with are coming directly. You're actually as if you had these folks in the room. It's not incredibly high tech, but it is very, very effective. And I just wanted to mention that. What he really was going to spend some time on, I will just mention briefly, was a project that is ongoing right now that includes 220 acres out east of Alamosa, between there and the sand dunes right on Highway 160, that they are calling the Veterans Village. And it's a facility that, and I don't even, I wish he would be here, and I'm sure he will be, so I won't take all the time to try and describe that, but a complete facility, a gated community with everything that housing, as well as facilities, even including medical and transportation, which is a huge aspect of what veterans in this area have to deal with. And that's, it's like this Sky High project. I don't think it's anywhere near the cost, but they are. What they do is reach out to the community, as well as the long list of grant opportunities. And they're in the process of working on that right now, and I just wanted to pass that on. That's what he would be addressing, and I've been working with Richard. I've seen his work with individual veterans, and even right here in town. And his vision is primarily right now for this Veterans Village out, like I said, out east side of the county. And it's something that I just wanted everybody to be aware of. I worked, like I said, very closely with Richard in some of this work that's ongoing, and I've never seen anybody quite so effective or quite so committed to this cause. He's obviously a veteran himself, and there's a definite, desperate need to reach out and to help the veterans and active duty military in this valley. We kind of get forgotten by the Front Range, and you're all familiar with how that works, and that's why this was so important, because it opened the eyes. I got a chance to talk to some of these people. I was at that meeting. Some of the folks from the Front Range, and well, specifically here from DC. So he's getting attention, and there's a work in progress there that is pretty phenomenal. So I just wanted to pass that on, and I will leave it at that. There wasn't any request that he was planning on making, but he will be here personally to talk a little more detail about that. But you've been faithful to be here, and it's been kind of a long evening. So I'll leave it at that. But I did want to at least communicate the project, primarily the project that he is currently working on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gary. Let's go to citizen comments. We welcome your unscheduled comments. Please limit comments to 3 minutes. Council will not take action at this same meeting. Anybody have anything? No? Okay. Looks like we're going to move on to ordinances. So I believe this will be Mr. Vance.
Good evening, council. Actually, President of the Tree Board, Kirby Shelf, was going to be here, but unfortunately he's feeling a little ill tonight, and I told him I would go ahead and try to do that. As it's been kind of a long night, I'll give you guys a brief synopsis of the ordinance. And if you want more detail, basically this ordinance, the tree board has been working the last 9 months during some of their meeting time each month to redo ordinance 685, which was the original tree board ordinance that established the maintenance and guidelines for trees within our city. A lot of people don't think about it, but all cities have what's considered an urban forest, and that's any street that's in a public way, meaning a park or along downtown, that has been alluded to earlier tonight, but also those trees that are actually in the right-of-way. We call them park trees, pretty much, especially on the western half of town. All those trees that are right on the edge of the sidewalk or in the parkway, those are all the city trees, and they're all part of our urban forest. So this ordinance is really geared towards the governance and the maintenance of those trees. It goes so far as to establish who maintains them, what criteria is necessary for the trimming and the removal of said trees. A lot of times we have citizens that ask to have a tree removed that really isn't diseased or really hasn't had any issues. So this gives the tree board a means and an application process that people, when they want a tree removed, that they can go, they can then go out and review it and determine whether or not that tree should be removed or trimmed. And it also gives us the basis for being able to develop a replacement plan. Trees are a really huge quality for Monte Vista, especially those that live on the western side. There's a big difference as you drive through town, the boulevard effect that the trees create and other things. And it also puts a little bit of a onus on us as Public Works to make sure that as we do projects, that we're taking the character of the town into considerations. A lot of places completely remove trees when they're doing curb, gutter, and sidewalk projects, and it can completely change the overall aesthetics of a community or neighborhood. So this ordinance does that, and it in essence replaces 685 with what ordinance now is numbered 898. So, and with that, I will open it up to council for any questions you might have, specifics.
I know that the tree board and you along with them have worked really hard on this, and I appreciate that very much.
No problem. The tree board's worked really hard on this. They've researched, our research has taken us all the way out to Vermont to find applications that are very simple and easy for people to fill out. So they have done an incredible amount of research to try to bring the very best for this community as far as our trees are concerned.
Well, have you been pretty closely involved in?
I am the city's liaison to the tree board, so I have worked with them
really, the tree board drafted it. I just kind of put a few nuances and kind of compiled everything at the end. But Jim Poston really wrote the bulk of this through all of the different meetings that we had. So kudos to him and the tree board for the work that they put into this.
And sounds like you're in favor of the way it stands.
I think so. I think we took out a few trees in the last couple of years that really shouldn't have gone away. They were actually healthy trees, but we didn't have anything to really prevent trees from being removed. You know, I'm all for if a tree has reached, sounds terrible, but if a tree has reached a useful age, it's time to not necessarily remove it, but if it's showing signs of distress and some issues, then it is time to remove it. But the important side of that is to have a replacement plan so you don't destroy the character of that particular neighborhood. You know, we have some very large cottonwood trees that have been in this community for probably over 100 years. And, you know, look over here at Chapman Park, there are some very large trees, evergreens, that are going to have to be looked at to be replaced. This ordinance gives the tree board the ability to start looking at those and start planning for the future.
Well, I move to approve ordinance 898, an ordinance to provide for the planting and maintenance of trees and shrubbery located on or adjacent to city-owned property and on the public right-of-way, and amending the Monte Vista Municipal Code replacing ordinance 685.
I would second that. It's been moved and seconded to approve the 898 ordinance, amending an ordinance to provide for the planting and maintenance of trees and shrubbery located on or adjacent to city-owned property and on public right-of-ways, and amending the Monte Vista Municipal Code, replacing ordinance 685. Is there any more discussion? Nita?
Counselor Johnson?
Aye.
Counselor Segola?
Aye.
Counselor Lorenz?
Aye.
Mayor Becker?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Let the tree board know we appreciate what they do.
Good evening, Mayor, councilors. I will try to be brief. Kind of a landmark meeting, lots of really good things going on this evening. I'll be looking for you early next week, Mayor, in regards to that grant. I imagine there's a couple things. So I'll track you down. So I had a few things in my report. A lot of times I don't report out much from the Planning Commission or Board of Adjustments, but they both met, same group, but different hearings. And our city attorney presided over the public hearing sections of those meetings. There were a number of items that were in front of the Board of Adjustments and the Planning Commission. There was a special review use for a cat shelter at 3rd and Adams Street. And you all will have a public hearing on that same matter at your next council meeting. The Planning Commission did recommend approval after quite a bit of discussion. But of course, there's a recommendation on that matter. The Board of Adjustments heard a variance for the SLV Behavioral Health Clinic, and the Board of Adjustments approved that variance request with conditions, and I included a copy of the official letter of that decision in the council packet, and Mr. Vance has subsequently had an opportunity to review those portions of the plan that were indicated for review by the Board of Adjustments, and there will be further discussions. There were certainly some issues. I would actually just congratulate both the planning commissioners and the Board of Adjustment, same folks. They did a really thorough job at that meeting, and I haven't been at one of their meetings for a little while, and they were very on point that evening, which I appreciated, and I told them that as well. And then the final thing was a preliminary development plan for the proposed RV park on Sherman Avenue. And they had a number of questions on that and tabled the matter until January, their January meeting, which I believe is the 23rd. Is it 23rd? Yes. All right. Got that right. And they're going to provide questions back to staff by December 15th that can then be given to the applicant. So it was actually very interesting meeting of both of those groups. Rob's probably going to talk about the airport master plan this evening. Well, I will then. That's okay. But I usually do that. I steal Rob's, like, going to talk about something, and I go, whoop. You do show and tell? Not on the airport, though. Okay. Okay, so, November 13th, City and Dow hosted a workshop for the Airport Board and the Airport Advisory Committee. And then we had an open house for the public, which is basically attended by the same people that attended the Advisory Board Committee. But the consultant's been working hard towards the airport master plan, and we went through a number of alternatives for different things like taxiway designs and some other, lots of really exciting airport-related things, and certainly they are doing a nice job bringing that forth. Let's see. So we do have the Thanksgiving hours, which our clerk also has in her report, but City Hall will also be closed on Thursday, December 12th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for a staff holiday party, to which the council is, of course, invited, and we appreciate your participation. I was off for a couple days, and during that period, I also visited a regulatory organization that we've been waiting for an approval on for the URA, and managed to move the ball forward and trying to get a property cleared for demolition. And in fact, then I got back today and got a phone call from the gentleman, and we should have that tomorrow. So, you know, didn't waste my time off doing nothing. Anyway, and then one other thing I had in my memo is I recommended the council to cancel the December 19th council meeting. Per the charter, you're only required to have the first meeting of the month. And we have traditionally canceled that second meeting in December due to the holiday season, et cetera. And in discussion with staff, I don't think we have any pressing matters that would require you all to hold that meeting. So certainly you can do that at your pleasure. And that is all I have, unless you all have questions. I do appreciate you voting for the grant application for Sky High. We'll get that thing put together. And, you know, that project, I've just been very impressed by the Friends of Sky High and by the architects and the builders. I mean, basically, we're doing a design build, and everybody has been very responsive, I think, to the user groups. And, you know, I've worked with a lot of architects in the past, and I would just give these folks high marks because they do listen. Often architects want to tell you what it's supposed to look like. They want to hear what it's supposed to look like and then have gone there. And I think if you look at those two drawings, the one of the recreational space and the one of the meeting rooms, those really tell the story really well. It's a huge opportunity for our community. And as the ladies pointed out this evening, it's already a $2 million commitment towards that 8.6, which is a really dandy start, and they announced that the other day, and that was certainly great. So I really do believe this is something that our community can do, and, you know, the voters approving the 1 cent tax was a huge, huge advantage for grant funders, because, you know, the city has struggled to maintain that facility over the years, as we've struggled with many things, but the voters have found a way for us to do that. So if we do get this new facility, and I'm confident we will, then we'll have an opportunity to take care of it properly. So that is all I have this evening. Thank you.
Can I question your dates on this?
Sure. Did I mess with the date?
Wednesday, November 20th, and Thursday, November 21st. Is it today the 21st?
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I was confused.
Yes, you're right. It's next week. Sorry. Yeah.
Wednesday and Thursday of Thanksgiving.
Yes. Next week. Okay.
Yes.
Not making fun of you, man. I was like.
Neil will clarify that in her report. So.
Okay. Thank you, Forrest.
Yeah.
You didn't know it was Thanksgiving.
Mike, would you like to come get us straightened up?
Okay, I don't know if I can, but I'll try. Mayor and council, thank you. I'm going to try and be brief. Forrest did touch on some of the things, but I just would as well. And the Sky High project is pretty exciting, and I really would personally like to thank the voters. I know everybody had to work hard to get this done. It's a fairly conservative community, tight-fisted, and so when the voters approved that, which I thought was about a 50-50 proposition, that said to me that they trust this council to spend their money. And I think that says a lot for this community, and I think things are going to start happening here. So I'm certainly excited and glad to be a part of the organization. Forrest took a little bit of thunder on the Board of Adjustments stuff, but the cat shelter, I was mildly surprised. I had my doubts about it to begin with, but it was interesting. Lisa Karst is going to make use of a building, hopefully, and she was well prepared. And when she was done presenting, I was like, well, looks pretty good. It's going to fill up a building that's empty right now, and so I was pretty impressed. The behavioral health variance, we had a pretty full plate that night, but again, it's a non-conforming use. It's an old building, but they're going to spend, I don't know, $400,000, I think they told us, to improve their facility and help run people through a little bit more efficiently, probably get a little bit more help to do that. And I'm really impressed with the planning and Board of Adjustments. I mean, they probably don't get much credit unless they do something wrong, and then we really get on them. But they're very knowledgeable, very experienced, and they go over, they don't miss much, as Forrest indicates. I mean, if we don't have something there, they certainly tell us what we're doing wrong. But they are fairly tough on things, but the other thing that's nice from at least my viewpoint, and I believe Forrest and the boards, is let's try and make something happen as opposed to putting a bunch of hoops for people to jump through. And I think when you look at things from an attitude as let's try and get something done, things go well. Not too much else that I've got. I've got a couple of contracts over for Forrest on some urban renewal properties, so things are going to start happening there. We're real busy in municipal court. The police obviously are busy because I see a lot of folks in there, and not too many repeat offenders, so things are kind of working pretty well. And I think we've had a couple of real busy days the last few times, but I think things are hitting on all cylinders, and I think Nita might have a little bit more information on the money part of it and see how we're doing there. But I think from what I can tell, everything is running pretty smooth. And with that, I don't have too much else. So, any questions? Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate you, man. Chief?
Don't want to know. Good evening, Mayor, Council. Again, I'll try to keep it short as well. Just a couple reminders for everybody watching. December 4th, Coffee with a Cop. Please come join us. I'll be there this time. Neighborhood Watch, December 16th, same story. We did have Neighborhood Watch Monday. Not too well attended, so I'll have to ring the bell on that, try to get people to start coming back. Crime Stoppers, congratulations, Jeff Naranjo. He won the rifle. Kind of ironic, but that's how it worked. It was a good drawing and pulled his ticket. One thing that did come up in the Neighborhood Watch meeting that I missed was there seems to be, a lot of times I talk about how things are going well, and they are. Crime stats kind of indicate that. Our calls for service are generally down, but our calls for service are connected to officer initiated activity as well. So I don't always kind of differentiate those two. But some questions came up about drugs. Do we think that there's still a lot of drugs around there? Well, one of my officers says, yes, I think we still have a drug problem. And a couple people in the audience got really kind of upset about that because while things are better, there's still a lot to be done. And I think we would all agree that it's a pretty major part of what spurs crime. A vast majority of the people we deal with, especially when it comes to the more heinous or brutal crimes, have some sort of influence. State Patrol is involved in a really cool venture right now where they're taking every alcohol test of every DUI that's done and doing a full panel on it. And while the numbers have decreased some now that it's statewide, it's almost 75% of every DUI who submits blood has something other than alcohol on board. They have multiple things on board, whether it be prescription, illicit, but whatever. And that's pretty alarming, to be honest. And who knows how many we miss, but numbers aren't drastically down as far as the number of DUIs we are catching. But my point is, while we're still showing 5-year, historic lows in property crimes, our calls for service are down. I put on there a 4-day span of 3 major crimes that we dealt with here in Monte. And a lot of people may not even hear about it because I think it's just the absolute professionalism of the department. They do a really good job. We don't blow things out of proportion. And I really think 3 of those things really need to be highlighted. So Dairy Queen basically had a robbery. It was more of a burglary by definition. And because of the good work of the officers, he's actually incarcerated federally because he was an illegal. So that's pretty quick work to have that done in less than just a week. The very next day, county has a true robbery. He comes into town with just enough information to find the car. Our guys find him, chase him, get him into a house, get him talked out of a house within 3 hours without any kind of real drama. So I think that's pretty exciting. Not from necessarily always a good standpoint, but the fact that we got it done. 2 days later, a simple traffic stop turns into 2 pounds of marijuana and a stolen gun in a juvenile's hands. Well, that's all very good cases, but the hours of work that those 3 cases produce is phenomenal. The juveniles had to go to Pueblo. We were responsible for that. The juveniles had to come back to court. We're responsible for that as well. All that work with the paperwork. I think anybody that's ever been involved in the court system knows that you can't hardly have a traffic ticket without a ream of paper. These felonies are even more amazing. But the amount of hours spent into those cases is what really tries to bog us down. And when you think about 900 calls for service, that's still 30 plus a day, give or take, depending on the month, with 2 cops, 24 hours. So it's a lot, and when one of those is 5 or 6 hours worth of paperwork, it's a lot of work. So I think just keep that in mind. While there's a lot of good going on and there's a lot of effort being put into it, there's still a lot of work to be done. And I think that's why we appreciate the 1 cent sales tax passing, trusting us there, because I think sometimes I get excited about all that's going good and I forget about how much work's still to be done, especially sitting behind the big desk. And on top of all that, the DA's office is really going through a lot of flux. The DA herself is leaving. We haven't had a consistent DA in Rio Grande County, I think, for a month in the last 12. It's just been insane. So it's been really tough on us because there's something to be said about getting to know your prosecutor. Regardless of the facts, it's, their style, there's willingness to fight. There's all kinds of things that get a little bit tricky when you're dealing with cases and the nuances of the law. And that's been really difficult. And we've seen a lot of people back out on the street that I think maybe we wouldn't have if we had a little more consistency in there. So maybe think about that as we move forward in the elections and however DAs work out. That's my statistics piece. Everything else pretty much just administration-wise. We're still struggling with hiring. We do have another round of interviews the first week of December. Eric in code enforcement, he's on his own now. He's doing well, but he's just got a lot to learn. That's a pretty steep learning curve there. He just came to me today and was like, "What am I going to do? They shut the animal shelter down for a week." I was like, "Well, you might have to do I don't know." that dog gets to run around for a couple more days. It might not be worth driving to Alamos and begging them for help. But he's pretty good about getting them home if he can. He's gonna maybe do a little posting with Nita to see if we can't save ourselves a trip to wherever we might have to go for that. So it is kind of amazing on how much we kind of spin our wheels sometimes trying to get the paperwork done, get the right person to the right side of the county, to detox being on that side, and jail being on this side, and all the regions that we travel back and forth in the valley. So we really appreciate the support for sure, and I just wanted to clarify that because it did seem to actually make some people upset in the sense that, well, I thought things were getting better. Well, they are. It doesn't mean there's any less work to be done, especially with an officer nearly full-time in the school, which every day I hear something positive about that, every day, and that's really exciting. So David, kudos to him, kudos to all of the district just for really giving him a chance. I think there was a few staff members that right off the bat were like, oh boy, here we go, and he just has really done a really good job to integrate himself into their system as opposed to bringing our system into the school, and I think that's been pretty helpful as well. That's my report. Any questions? All right. Good night.
You guys do a good job.
So good evening again. Show and tell. Wanted to first start off by thanking the voters again for approving the sales tax. Us and our department are very pleased with that, and I will dedicate myself to make sure that the trust that they put on us is carried forward and proven to them that they did a good thing. So with that started, this is what we call a water saddle tap. And this is what is actually connected to every one of our mains in town. A cork gets screwed into here, and that becomes a service line that feeds individual houses and businesses. Okay, that's a nice shiny new one. And you heard me before as we talked about projects that it's really important if you're going to do a surface treatment on something to look underground and look at the water and the sewer. Make sure you fix those before you put pavement on there. This project was the perfect example of that. In my little show and tell. This is the best, and I emphasize the best, of the saddle taps that were actually on the water line on Dunham. There's the bands. So the only thing holding this and keeping it from leaking was the dirt that surrounded it. So this is a classic case showing exactly why, even though it's not sexy, that you have to do the work underground before you do the stuff on top. And even when we're retrofitting a dirt road to a paved road, there's always problems with that. You have houses that are built low and others that are built really high, and trying to get a standard road that doesn't do this to compensate for all of those is really difficult. The particular project on Dunham, and I'm glad to say that the water line's done, service has been restored, the pavement is done. We're going to be starting right after Thanksgiving. We'll be starting the inlet work that was part of that project. So we're about 2/3 of the way done with the project, maybe slightly more. So everything's gone really well. Learned a lot. Like I said, this was, every one of them was like this, or worse. What's that?
How old are these?
I'm guessing these are probably about 40 years old. This particular style that's made out of iron hasn't been used in quite a long time. Even though it's painted, this is actually bronze. So they don't do this anymore because of this. So they're probably real close to 40 years old. And this is on the AC pipe. And everything that I've talked to you about, Dunham, Bronx, all of those streets are going to have half AC pipe and half new C900. So we will have to do this on every one of them, because it wasn't just one tap, it was every tap on the old AC pipe looked at least as bad, if not worse. So, and that's really it. I don't have a whole lot, like I said. Couple of things on Forrest, since he mentioned the airport. We did have our open house, and we had a good work session before that. CDOT Aeronautics actually came to that one, and they were actually impressed with the amount of turnout and the interest from our board, our advisory board, how they showed up and did, because the night before they were at another airport doing the exact same master plan that we're working on, and they had 3 people of a 12-person advisory board actually show. So with that, it is what we call our capital improvement CIP plan is due. So I will be going on the 25th up to Denver to meet with both the CDOT Aeronautics and also the FAA to sit down and kind of incorporate where we are with our master plan into our overall CIP. So with that, I'll open it up for any questions that you guys may have. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Rob. Eva?
Good evening again. In front of you is my report. I did not include it in your packet, I'm sorry, but you do have that report in front of you. First of all, it's been said many times tonight, but I think it's well-deserved. Congratulations to the city of Monte Vista and to the citizens for passing that 1% tax increase. It's going to benefit the citizens of Monte Vista greatly. The election went well. Larry Foster ran unopposed. He will be joining our team on January 2nd. We'll swear him in. And then there will be 1 vacant seat left. I've sent a notice to the Monte Vista Journal asking for letters of interest for the vacant seat, and I've asked for those letters to be turned in by December 30th. So if you could all mark this on your calendar, on January 2nd will be the first meeting in 2020. That's the meeting that will say goodbye to 2 of the council members and swear in Larry Foster. On Tuesday, January 6th, 2020, we will have a work session for council to look at the letters of interest and speak to those individuals if they wish to do so. I will send those letters to you prior to that meeting, and you can let me know if you want me to invite any of those individuals to that work session. Then on January 16th, 2020, council will then seat somebody for that vacant position.
I love this. Did you say Tuesday, January 6th, Dina?
Yes.
Yes.
7th, excuse me, 7th. Tag team.
Maybe we ought to look at some calendars.
Maybe. I just wanted to update you on the whole outings of the elections. And again, congratulations on the passing of the 1% tax. Over the summer and the fall, I've attended many different conferences for the Colorado Municipal Clerks Association. I've learned a lot of new and innovative techniques and ideas that I'm going to put into place to improve the customer service and operations of the clerk's office. And I do believe that with the hiring of James Stewart, I believe he's a great fit for the city clerk's office and for our team. I think he fits in very well with our team. So again, congratulations and welcome aboard. Moving on to our business license. It's that time of the year where we're getting ready to send out notices for renewals for the business license. Just a small little thing. When you support small businesses, you're supporting a dream of building a sense of pride within your community. So we like to support our local businesses, shop local, eat local, and play local. Liquor license, right now liquor licenses are pretty quiet. Usually our renewals would come during the summertime. We do have quite a few special event permits that come through for Christmas parties, quinceañeras, and New Year's Eve. So moving on to the big part of it is the municipal courts. As Mike said, we've been extremely busy in the courts. As of today, we've entered 1,100 cases. So out of those 1,100 cases, 85% come to court. The rest of them are traffic violations that pay prior to court. So currently, we have collected from July 1st to the current date, we've collected $52,556. And at this same time last year, we collected $53,925. So we're right on track for our budget assessment and revenues. The judge is big on collecting restitution to give back to the community, and she's also big on issuing useful public service. So currently we have paid back to the citizens of Monte Vista $1,312.41 in restitution. We have over 30 defendants that are working on useful public service, and we have 8 juveniles that are currently in the restorative justice program. With all of that being done and taking jail off the table, we have saved the city. Last year at this time, we paid over $28,000 to the jail. This year, from the beginning of the year to current date, we've paid roughly $490 in detention. So huge numbers, big difference, and I think between City Attorney Mike Trujillo, myself, and Judge Zollers, there's been a huge and positive impact done on the City of Monte Vista Municipal Courts. Excuse me. There's nothing more rewarding than giving back and making a difference in the lives of people in this community, and that's something that Judge Zollers believes very deeply in. So I commend her for holding strong with the municipal courts. Other news, just a correction for Forrest. City Hall will be closed Wednesday, November 27th through the 29th for Thanksgiving, and we will reopen December 2nd with normal business hours, and we're closing at noon on Wednesday the 27th. And then I have to leave you with just a little joke. Why did the police arrest the turkey? They suspected foul play.
That's great. Yeah. Thanks for giving us the answer.
Your car driving down the road. Look at that.
I have one of those in tomorrow.
IT.
Good evening. How are you guys all doing this evening?
Good, how are you?
Doing all right. So I don't have a whole lot for you guys. We've been working on a lot of larger projects, and sadly not a lot of them have really wrapped up. We're starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm a little worried it's a train. So we'll see here. But we've been completely rebuilding the website, and it has not been fun. There's a lot of data on the old website. I know there's a reason for why we're doing this, and I'm pretty sure it's because this direction, the city's not paying a dime for the website we're building, but I was told a bunch of other reasons that I don't honestly remember at the moment. But once we have it finished, which it will be launching on December 2nd, I will come up and give a much larger report on that. We've also rebuilt the intranet site, which is, it's a web page that only the city employees can access. It has a lot of resources, and The old one was just a blue screen with a couple links, that's about it. And well, I guess some social media links as well, so that's been completely rebuilt. I've been working with the police department trying to update all of our MDTs to Windows 10. 7 hasn't been running too well on them, and they take almost an hour and a half to boot up, which is, I don't know, it's one of those, turn it on, go make breakfast, drink a cup of coffee, maybe visit with your neighbors, and it might be logged on by the time you get back to your car. So hopefully Windows 10 will work better. I mean, they're MDTs, they're not the quickest computers, but at least I can turn on 3 or 4 of them because I've been doing them in batches of 3, and they'll turn on within a minute or 2, which is much better than before. Other than that, though, I'll have a lot more to report next month. Well, actually, it's going to be on January, isn't it? So in January, expect a much larger report, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. And if not, enjoy your guys' Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Chris. You too.
Council committee, city commission, council reports. Would you like to start, young lady?
All right. I'd just like to thank Rob and his crew for all the work on the decorations downtown. Looks starting to look very festive. Very good, but they look really nice just the way they are. And are we going to tonight consider a donation for the big band? I've got one. Are there thoughts?
I was just kind of thinking, so is this, Chip asked him, are they connected with, like, who are they connected with, like, any kind of organizations? Is it just a band?
Maybe Esther used to be a member. So.
They're an organization all by themselves.
Just
It's just musicians getting together and playing.
And a large number of them do live here in Monte Vista. A lot of the band members.
How many musicians are in that group or?
Bunch.
Do you know?
They're from all over the valley.
Yeah,
There's some youth, I think we play in it, and there's some seasoned youth.
There.
Esther said there's 20 or 30 members.
Yeah.
It's
big.
More than that, I think.
Yeah, it's a big group.
It's a big group.
If I may, Mayor, though, to the Mayor Pro Tem's question, though, perhaps we could bring this matter back to the next council meeting once we determine the nature of the organization. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, that works.
Because that was the only question that didn't get to ask, but are they an entity? So we could find that out.
Okay. That'll work. That's all I've got.
I just want to just say thanks to the whole team, you know, the whole city of Monte Vista, all the citizens. It takes everybody, you know, to move forward. So I just want to say thank you guys for everything that you guys do as a staff, in the city, and also for the citizens of Monte Vista who approved the vote, and even to the ones who did not approve it, you guys will benefit from it. So congratulations.
Yeah, just a few things. You're probably familiar with this, you know, this is, yeah. There's an article in here, an extensive one, about the vaping issue, and another one in the second section. We're in the process of looking into that whole process, but there's some stuff in here that surprised me, and it's a much bigger issue than we ever imagined. The other would be the dual centennial coming up. I may have mentioned that before, but Sky Stampede 100th Stampede will be coming up in 2021. That may sound like a long way off, but in a few weeks it's going to be right next door. So along with the 100th anniversary of Adams State University. So we're working together with them. That's going to start taking shape more starting in January. We put off our meetings until then. But the other thing, just to keep in mind for you believers out there about this sky-high renovation, the last estimate of completion for that project very well could be by the time of the 100th Stampede. So we could be celebrating that in a brand new facility. So just wanted to throw that out there. If any of the groups come around looking for a $5 donation or something, we got a lot of funds to raise for that. Just keep that in mind. And we could be seeing that very, very soon. That's coming up pretty quick. The other thing that's coming up is Ice Fest. We talked about this before. It was going to be like next week. Obviously, the weather and some other scheduling issues didn't cooperate. But we do have one coming up January, the date's right, it's January 10th and 11th, which I believe is a Friday and Saturday. So if you can save the date, mark that down. That's we've got some big plans for that. We got festivities going on. It's a dual skate night that's going to be both inside and outside, roller skating inside and ice skating outside. Some other festivities. We'll have vendors out there, food trucks, and lots going on, possibly even a figure skating display and demonstration. So it worked, but you know, obviously it's going to be freezing for that weekend, right? But if it doesn't, the event will still be going on. That's why we've got dual skating. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It'll be a big event, and it'll be a great time for the community. So mark that down, January 10th and 11th. I was saying weather permitting, but the event is going on no matter what, so it should be a good time, so plan on that. And that's it.
And Mayor, if I could just, I was looking at the promotion from the big band. They are a 501c3 nonprofit organization.
Well, great, that is great, glad to see that, so there's your answer.
Well, I don't have a whole lot. I want to thank the citizens again for supporting this tax bill. That was awesome. The whole team, like Gary said, it was everybody that did this. It wasn't us here. It was the community that stepped forward. And this will be ground for you youth that are here. And thank you, youth, for being here. I know you got to be here because of class, but I appreciate you being here. And you notice the young man over by the chief is because he's under house arrest. December 7th is all the holiday stuff going on. Are we, I think you're ready. We're going to do the tree, lighting. That's not my deal. I'm just getting everybody prepped. Okay, it's December 7th. Stay tuned. House decorating contest. And there's some really cool prizes for the house, the first, second, third place for the house. They actually get a moose, the one that they drink the eggnog out of, a moose glass. Yeah, we got some of them and some other prizes. Sounds pretty fun. And then the parade of lights.
Do they register for that?
Yes, and they can go online for that. Or what do they call it, Facebook. And the business window decorating, home decorating, and there's trophies for the floats, first, second, third. And the theme is, Martha, what's the theme? National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. So, outside of that, I have nothing else. So I would say we will adjourn the meeting until December 5th. Thank you, December 5th.